Here he comes walking in again.
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And the show, in fact.
Yes.
I'm thrown because we've recorded two on the same day.
Yeah.
This is the second one we've recorded, but we've just swapped our outfits. So just to fill you into thinking that I'm just a bit cold because I've got a t-shirt on and it's January.
Do you want to put your shirt back on?
No, don't spoil the illusion. They'll never know. So welcome back to A Brit of Alright.
There's a blanket over there. Do you want to put that on?
I'll be alright. I should be alright.
Yeah.
So A Brit of Alright is we're celebrating, we're reclaiming the flag via food and British things, people, institutions, ideals,
Sort of. Yeah. You know, artistic movements or whatever. Anything. Yeah. Anything that we think is all right, basically. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I've done food almost exclusively.
You have, yeah.
So I'm just going to keep doing food because I think British food is really ace. Yeah. And I didn't realise how much I loved it until I spent some time travelling in the last couple of years, and I miss it so much.
Do you really?
I really miss it, and I really miss a bit.
I know you've always talked about how much you love pies.
Yes, pies and puddings and sausages and
I remember you sort of
kebabs and pizzas.
I think one of the first times we met was around at a gig over sort of bonfire night time, and you remember you sort of saying how much you love bonfire night because of the food.
The food, treacle toffee, jacket potatoes, hot dogs are good at bonfire night, and little parched
black peas or parched peas
with vinegar and white pepper.
Yeah,
adore it.
All of those could be individual episodes of this.
And will be. So why don't you go first this time? Because I'm always going first with food. I'm doing food again this week.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna use. Last week we did an organisation. This week I'm going to
the RSPB.
Yeah. I'm going to suggest.
Also, if this is the first one you've seen or heard, this is the Brit of Alright book.
Yeah. As you can see, we've not even bothered to make it in any way branded. It's just an Italian
book with a magpie on it. So we put, if we like it, it goes in the Brit of Alright book.
Yeah.
So when confronted by racists, probably that's coming. Yeah. If it's not already come, we can at least go, well, look, these are all the things that we're celebrating about Britain.
Yeah.
What are you actually celebrating about Britain?
And you can list them off, can't you?
Yeah. You're not celebrating anything. You're costing the police millions of pounds and also the taxpayer, and you're trashing Britain.
When you could be out eating fish and chips and bird watching.
Yes,
what you do.
Exactly, which is in the best traditions of Britain and being British.
Yeah.
Let's not have any fuss. That used to be a full British thing. Stiff upper lip.
Stiff upper lip, exactly.
Let's just, let's not put windows through.
Yeah. Or flags up.
Let's not do that. Let's not urinate on the cenotaph because you're drunk, which has been noted that you did.
Yeah.
So what's the first, what are you going to give us today then?
I'm going to go for, and this is going to be slightly controversial as to, is it actually British or not?
They always are, more or less, it seems.
So I'm going to go for punk.
Right.
And you'll notice I've not said punk rock specifically.
Right.
But punk as an overall sort of idea and movement.
So punk probably, from my knowledge, probably started about the year you were born, I'm guessing.
I'm not. I'm younger than punk.
Are you?
Yeah.
I was born in 1972.
Right. Okay.
So I was young. I was on holiday when I first became aware of punks.
Right. Okay.
In Eastbourne, and I was just staring at them and stuff.
All right. You mean with the proper mohawk and
the proper mohawk and the studied jacket and the pins in the nose and green hair.
Right. Okay.
And they did look really, really scary. At the time, and I was frightened. And my grandma sort of pulled me away because we were walking towards them, and people used to scurry away from them. My granddad, who was in the Navy, just barrels up to them and starts arguing with them. And then I think actually they were at a minute realised they were just really nice people, just pleasant people that just looked a bit different.
Vegetarians or whatever.
They always are. So punk music.
So punk music started actually in New York, is where it began. So I think, because obviously no one's gone, it's not like an artistic movement where someone's set up a manifesto and gone, we are now starting this. It's sort of developed sort of organically out of bands like the Velvet Underground and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that evolved into like like the Stooges and
Yeah, which was Iggy Pop's band.
Iggy Pop's band and like the New York Dolls and the Ramones.
Yeah, that was
and
Morrissey's favourite band.
Yeah, and all of those sorts of
the Ramones.
Bands, the Ramones. Even like Jonathan Richman might have been punk, like Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers.
Yeah.
But by the time punk came around, he'd been operating for a bit before. And by the time punk came around, he was like recording weird songs about spacemen or whatever.
Right.
And people go watching and going, "What's this?"
So is there a definitive definition of what punk is?
It's like fast paced,
right,
sort of guitar,
3 chords or 2 chords.
3 chords or 2 chords. So quite simple. Although I think sometimes the simplicity of it gets a bit overstated. You know what I mean? I think some of it's quite.
Yeah, I think the Ramones, for instance, were really good musically. And
so were the Sex Pistols. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they weren't bad. They weren't bad.
Yeah. And so there's that aspect to it, and I think there's an element of it being sort of like anti-establishment, you know what I mean? And that's part of it. And then
I think anarchy always feels like a part of it, and also the lack of, well, essentially what we're doing here, zero production values,
no production values. Just sort of
no
get
knowledge,
on the road,
no slickness.
Do a thing, sell your records out the back of the van.
Get changed mid.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretend.
Yeah. Have people sort of like, be directly challenging racists, but then they'll sort of like
attract
that. You know what I mean? Like, so there's that.
We'll do a live version of the people polling and spitting on us.
Yeah. So I think there's an element of all that about it. So if you read anything about the history, sort of like 75 is when it started to start in America.
Right.
And then Malcolm McLaren?
Yes, he was the manager of the Sex Pistols.
He had been the manager of one of the punk bands in America, whose name I forget. It might have been the New York Dolls, actually.
Okay.
In 75, and he sort of brought it back across with him because he had his shop was it in Soho? Was it Sex was the shop?
And that was linked with Vivienne Westwood.
Vivienne Westwood, yeah.
Yes.
So, and then he sort of formed the Sex Pistols, having sort of worked in America on punk, and thought, this is something that could sell over here.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
they were not an organic band. They were created.
It was sort of, like One Direction.
Yeah, not the Monkeys or or Blue or they were a boy band.
Yeah, effectively they were put together and sort of marketed sort of well by someone who knew how to market things.
Yes.
So they were sort of anti what punk became about. In a way. So yeah, but then there was that famous or almost infamous gig at the Manchester Free Trade Hall in 1976.
Where apparently 28 people went, but 900 million said they were there.
Yeah, exactly. So like millions of people claim to have been there.
Yeah.
I think in the audience there though, confirmed, were members of the Smiths.
Yeah.
Were they there?
Morrissey was definitely there. Tony Wilson supposedly was there.
Joy Division with
Curtis
Ian
was
Curtis.
Probably there, and Peter Hook was probably there.
Yeah. And then one or two others as well. And then this sort of that sort of post-punk era sort of formed directly.
Which is probably my favourite era.
Yeah.
From about 1980 to about.
Yeah, that sort of industrial.
Well, the 80s.
Sort of like post-punk new wave sort of stuff.
Yeah. Just love it. Into indie, love it.
Yeah.
It's the best for me.
So I mean, I like lots of punk. I do sort of prefer that sort of like industrial bleak sort of post-punk sort of sound.
The Undertones are kind of would be. I think they were 79 in the Jam, but that's moving away from what the Sex Pistols were and what Stiff Little Fingers were and what
Buzzcocks were
from
Bolton. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pete Shelley. Oh my God, amazing. Love the Buzzcocks.
Yeah, and they were.
And they're musically really good.
Yeah, they were good. They're good
really
songs.
Good.
They're well written songs, and it's like I remember sort of seeing. I mean, I'm moving towards grunge now, which is sort of the offspring of punk.
Yeah.
But it's like if you listen to Nirvana, it's like the songs are well written, and if you ever hear anyone play a Nirvana song who doesn't try and sing in his voice but just sings in a nice voice, think this could almost be a nursery rhyme. You know what I mean?
A mosquito, an albino. That's a lot to tell.
But I think that some of the punk songs also have that about them.
Oh my God,
they're good songs because you can play them acoustically.
Well, Ever Fallen in Love by the Buzzcocks is just a classic.
Yeah, they're good songs.
Yeah,
like Teenage Kicks is a good song.
Yeah, oh my God, the Undertones are the best.
Yeah, yes. So I just think all of it, it's just like it's a cool look.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think the full-on green hair stuff is maybe a bit far, but there is and for me, I wouldn't sort of like dress like that. But I do like that sort of. like when I was younger, I used to sort of shave my head and have like a suede head.
Yeah.
And that was a bit
also.
punk, you know what I mean? Like with sort of like a little sort of like denim jacket and a t-shirt. Because it was like really slim as well, you know. And it's like, if I can find there's a picture of me, I'll try and find it where I've got like where I'm like that, and we can put it below or whatever we'll do. I'll show you a picture of it. But yeah, so I loved it.
I love it a bit punk. I can remember
you know what
when
I mean?
I was about 11, I had a leather jacket that wasn't real leather, and like I got a bracelet from somewhere.
Yeah.
We were on a school holiday in Moffat, and I bought a bracelet with Man United on, and I was kind of like, I'm pretty out there.
I basically
I'm where it's at.
I basically dressed like, you know, like when Ewan McGregor plays Renton in Trainspotting.
Yes.
That's how I dressed.
Yes.
And he had the same hair and everything. I think I may have been trying to look like him.
Yeah, you would have been. You definitely would have been. I love punk music. I think it was. So I always thought it was about people just doing it who couldn't really play their instruments, because throughout the 50s, especially the 60s, if you think 50s, biggest act of the 50s is Sinatra, then it goes to Elvis.
Yeah.
And they've got brilliant musicians behind him. Sinatra's got a full orchestra behind him. Elvis has got some of the best guitarists.
It's like Carl Perkins playing
amazing.
Elvis and whatever.
Yeah, and Chaz and Dave.
Really?
Yeah, Chaz or Dave was in like Memphis or something for like 2 or 3 years, and he's on loads of Sinatra albums and some loads of Elvis records.
Right, I didn't know that.
Some records. He was back. He was on a TV show I wrote for him.
Kept trying to.
They interviewed him.
Kept trying to
get
in it.
Blue suede shoes, and I was going to do a rhyming slang joke. But yeah, and then there's like even the 70s with like all the prog rock and the back end of rock and roll, and the Stones and the Beatles were brilliant musically, and it was about people doing it who weren't any good musically, and it was before technology.
And they would get better together. You
get better together, yeah.
So
you could buy an electric guitar and you could have some effects on a pedal, but so it might sound a bit muddy, but you only really might have 2 power chords or 3 power chords, and then drummers are always good because they're mentally different to everybody else, because they can do 4 or 5 things at once. And then somebody on bass, who's always normally the worst musician of the lot.
Bass.
That's just your mate.
They're the fullbacks of the music world, aren't they?
You play bass. I can't do it. It doesn't matter. Nobody can.
Although a good bass is...
Oh my God, yeah. Worth the wait.
Just elevates every band that they're in.
But I always thought it was that punk spirit is a really good thing, because it's just about having a go, and whether you're good or not, whether you're... I think comedy's really like that. When you start doing comedy, you can't do it. I've not seen anybody straight out the box and be amazing. I've seen people be really good straight out the box. John Bishop, I did one of his first ever gigs. He was really good straight out the box.
Yeah.
But he had a history of being a speaker. Jimmy Carr was another one.
Speaking in public and presenting things and knowing how to hold a room and all of that.
And teachers, often lawyers. So people who are used to standing up and they're not really fazed by speaking in public. Yeah. But some of the best ones you see are just weirdos who they've been weirdos all their life, and they've just gone, just do this, and they're just funny.
Nowhere else for me to exist other than here. And
doing that, and that's what I loved about comedy. And when I started, and I still love it when I see somebody new that you go, wow, you don't fit anywhere. But then when you get on stage, all those things that in real life are not great about you are like a superpower on stage. The fact that you've got a funny voice, you're ugly, you've got glasses on, you're fat, you're too thin.
You don't feel part of anything, so you have to literally just watch life happening.
Amble on stage and do everything wrong, but it's still brilliant. So
so that's punk for you.
That's punk spirit. I think it's a spirit. I think it's a... And bizarrely, I'm not sure if the Sex Pistols do embody it because of everything, like the filthy lucrator, all that. We're only in it for the money, all that business. And it always feels a little studied as well when you see them. Is it somebody Grundy who does an interview with the Sex Pistols?
When they swear.
And they're swearing, and then Coogan, in Knowing Me, Knowing You, they sort of ape that with a punk band from Scotland. and like they're throwing pears around, and Partridge kind of goes like, "Come rock and roll, let's all have a bear." But it's that kind of it's a bit like. Whereas you think if you ever see Marky Smith interviewed on anything, he's like,
you think, he's genuinely
he's ultimately punk. He's not interested in anything. He's about
he dresses like your granddad, you know, with that leather jacket,
and like a side parting, and he's amusing but also utterly belligerent, and and then whatever you want him to say, he will have the opposite opinion just to annoy you. I saw him talk about rap music, and he was interviewed about some. I think it was right about when Telephone Thing was, so about 1990-91. So that was the new single, and they said, "Oh, I bet you hate rap music, don't you?" He went, "No, I think it's the most literate music there is. I love it." And he's just like, does he? Doesn't he? Who cares? He's just he's been obstinate.
The Fall, it was sort of rap music in itself, wasn't it? It was sort of spoken word rather than singing. You know what I mean?
So that's post-punk, I think. Even though they probably started
it's the same mentality though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just that we're going to do what we want and we don't really care about the results or success.
And I think that's got to be something that's good about Britain. I think there is like an underlying behind, because a lot of official Britishness is very much that stiff upper lip, sort of like deference to the crown and all that. And like there's got to be an opposite for every, you know, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And I think that punk is the sort of like where sort of real British people live for the most part. You know?
Can I give one more example that's going to be a very weird example when we're talking about punk music?
I mean, we're talking about punk. I'm not going to sort of say no. There are specific rules.
about the punk ethos. So my wife works with children in schools, and it's the children who've got nothing. It's the ones who've got problems, lots of problems sometimes. Okay. So they're either really, really poor or in terrible situations or have additional needs. So she got a big box sent to her that she applied for, and this also goes in hospitals as well, this kind of thing. And I can't remember what the name of this movement is, and it's women, mainly older women, and it might be called Knit for Night.
Right, okay.
So they knit. So basically, they knit all these kind of puppets, and they're like emotional support puppets, and they're also like other puppets for more horrible things and stuff. And schools can get them, and they send them free. You just have to pay the postage. And also, these women knit things for, you know, like they knit hats for newborn babies.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just women coming together and just doing stuff. They buy the wool themselves. The wool gets donated to them. They'll sit round. There's a group in Bolton. I remember I was on the radio, and they were called something like Knit and Natter or something.
Yeah, there is.
It's a Bolton group, but this one was from, I don't know where this one was from. So they're knitting all these puppets for what might be an emotional support puppet. So it might be, how are you feeling today? And you're dysregulated and you can't cope with it. It might be worse than that. You might have been abused. There's puppets for that. There's puppets for everything, and it's just nobody's asked them to do it. They're not getting paid to do it. Nobody wants them to. If they don't do it, nobody's bothered. Nobody's saying we need this. No. But they're just doing something. They'll never see the benefit from it, except they sit and talk and do it. And then they send it off and go, I hope some newborn baby wears that. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe it'll get there, maybe it won't. I think that's a real punk spirit.
It is, yeah.
It's a real ethos of punk.
And even more British than that is that it makes it recreates the village, doesn't it?
You know,
where it was like the elders helping out the
it's
youths, you know what I mean?
Just a kind and nice thing that they're doing for no monetary gain whatsoever.
Other than just to do it.
Just to do it. And I bet they have a right laugh when they sat there. And also, let's face it, a load of old women sat round. Anytime you see any group of women sat round, if you ever walk past them or something, about 2 minutes later they'll be talking about the dirtiest thing in life. It won't be what you think. It'll be really fun. So punk.
What do you think? Do you think punk
punk's one of my favourite genres of music, and it's one of my favourite. John Cooper Clarke, who we mentioned last week, the punk poet, who also did a couple of his poems were made into songs. Yes. And kind of not bad, the songs, but he's got such great rhythm anyway that I prefer it when he just reads them.
When it's just him going,
Yeah.
the fucking dogs, the fucking
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Is that evidently Chicken Town? That
Yeah. So that's one that is made into a a
because
song.
I've heard the song, and they clean up the song by changing effing for bloody, and it doesn't.
No, it's
not got the same in that
it loses something. And then we could have even talked about the whole political like protest.
We didn't mention the Clash. You know what I mean? Like,
no, the Clash.
Bloody all that sort of stuff. But they're sort of punk.
It was a bit after, and again, it was all a bit.
They did a lot of reggae and stuff like that in there, didn't they?
Yeah, well, also there was a festival in Jamaica because I think some punk bands toured it and it wasn't going very well. And then I think Bob Marley and a couple of the big reggae acts did Rock for Reggae or something, and they made like a punk festival with reggae artists and the Clash and people like that. So that's like a really good.
Yeah,
I think reggae's totally like punk, same kind of vibe.
Yeah,
but punk has to go in.
Right,
it has to.
Good, I've already written it in.
It does feel. It feels very British to me.
Yeah,
American punk. I mean, what are the Green Day and things like that? And I know people might really like Green Day, but to me, it just feels the exact opposite of what punk is.
Commercialised, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
You know,
like, I've got crazy hair.
I guess the original punk in America wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Coming out in New
York.
York.
Well, then he goes to Blondie. Quickly goes to
yeah.
Blondie. He then does a Biggest Hits, a disco track.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know. It's just, it's a good thing, and it feels very British.
Yes, exactly. And heavily associated with Union Jack colours as well in some of the imagery and all that. You know, so,
Well, music's often appropriated the Union because the mods have done it.
Yeah. And other sort of like military sort of insignia as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, like with the sort of RAF sort of target.
And it always looks. I think the mods made it look really cool, and punk. It also looked really, really cool. Vivienne Westwood always seemed to have British flags everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like all the loads of things she wore and designed and stuff. So good. And then Britpop did it.
Yeah.
And now, if you look at
Ginger Spice did it.
Look at them. Look at the lampposts. They're very punk. Not flying those flags at full mast, just
like half mast, limp, and
because the ladder's only 10 feet tall. So the next one we're going to do.
Okay.
Right, punk's in.
This is why it's over to you now, isn't it? What food have you got for us this week?
Food. So it's kind of controversial. I'm trying to remember the year. So it starts in 1932.
Right, okay.
But it started by an American who was called Forrest, was his first name.
Right.
So it was Forrest Mars Senior. Can you guess what company he set up?
So the Mars bar was named after someone called Forrest Mars.
Forrest Mars Senior in 1932.
Okay.
He came to Britain from America.
Yeah.
After his dad, who I think is called Frank Mars, had a company of making chocolate bars.
Yeah.
So they had a chocolate bar in America called the Milky Way, which is more similar to what we would know as a Mars bar.
So not like the Milky Way.
Not like the Milky Way we get, that came later.
Right, okay.
So the first one was the Mars bar. Now, when I'm away, because I work often on American ships, they have chocolate treats, and I don't really drink because it's really hard to drink and it's super expensive. So, and also if you get in any trouble, you're technically not allowed to drink.
They'll kill you
or whatever, won't they? 0.01. If you've got that much alcohol in your body, technically you can be kicked off the ship because you're working on a ship and you might be needed to man a lifeboat.
Right, okay.
Good luck if I'm manning a lifeboat.
So I'd have thought all sort of seafaring folk could just be drunk on rum all the time.
So the Navy used to get 1 day a week and a rum ration. So you get a rum ration every day because it beat off, in the olden days, it got rid of certain diseases.
Yeah.
And it was safer than drinking water.
Right. Yeah.
And also had sugaring, good for energy and stuff, and good for mood and good for like
camaraderie. About like rum. Good for energy.
Good for energy.
Energy drink. Ooh. Have a glass of rum before I go for a run.
Well, we'll come to energy with Mars bars.
Right. Okay.
So, what they do now in the modern Navy, you still traditionally get that. Like you can have a tot of rum a day. It's called the rum ration.
Yeah.
So you can save that up, and 1 day a week on your day off, they'll let you go into a special sealed area, and like a few of you can just get drunk. That's what.
Right,
And,
okay.
you know, I'm saying this because you never know who's watching. There is also, so I never drink on board. Anyway, let's say when you go, I'll see a Mars bar or a Milky Way or something like that. Oh, I fancy that because it'll remind you of home. It's American chocolate. The chocolate's rubbish because it's not made with whole fat milk and it's not made with cane sugar. It's made with fructose.
Oh, right, okay.
So,
I mean, I've always assumed there's no actual chocolate in there as well.
well,
You know, there's like
so
just sort of like palm oil and.
well, I
fruit
think
coloring,
that's probably maybe like in the American one. It's not.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look right. Doesn't taste right. It's no good. So, after a falling out with his father, I think over a romantic dispute, I think he married someone or was going out with someone that his father didn't approve of, and I think there was business stresses as well.
Right.
Forrest Mars Senior, or Forrest Mars as he was then, in 1932, moves to Slough. Slough. And
From where in America did he come from? Do you know?
Don't know. Forgot. Do know, but forgot.
I'm just trying to think.
Let's just make it up.
Las
Yeah.
Vegas to Slough.
But I think it was probably somewhere like Midwest.
Right. Okay.
So it's not.
So emotionally tied with
Similar.
Slough, probably. Yeah.
So Slough is right next to Reading. So if you don't quite know where we are, think the UK office. That's the sort of area that it's in. It's quite near Windsor, near Legoland. So we would stay there when we used to go to Legoland. So we'd stay in a Premier Inn in Slough because it was cheap.
It's northwest of London.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, northwest of London. So Forrest Mars sets up the company in 1932 with 4 other people working in it. He basically copies his dad's Milky Way bar, but renames it the Mars bar.
Right. Okay.
Right. So up until this point, the first chocolate bar in the UK was Fry's Chocolate Cream.
Was it that white one?
The one that's like
the white
like a
filling.
thin sliver, and it's got
and it's got like a sort of fondant.
It's a
centre.
fondant mint, and
Because there's a mint one, but there's also the chocolate cream, which is just
just a creamy one.
It's just like like the middle of a Cadbury's cream egg. It's
yes,
basically
it's
like
goo.
that,
It's that lovely
just
fondant.
sugary goo in it.
So that's the first one,
Oh,
and they're quite popular. That was like 50 years before this.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first
You can still
ones
get them,
in the world. Yeah, you can. And they used to do a different coloured one that was
Was
like multicoloured. Each one you broke.
Did they?
Yeah, it was like all fruits. That was a fruit cream. That was good in the 80s. But the Mars bar is, or was at this point, became instantly the most popular one. The most popular chocolate bar in the UK. Not counting Kit Kats, which I think are a biscuit. Kit Kat's number 1, but it's a biscuit.
It's a wafer, isn't it? Yeah,
you don't really go in a newsagent and say, "Oh, give me a Kit Kat." You might do, but you're probably going to have a Snickers or a Mars.
Yeah.
So Snickers, also Mars bar, is the number 1 selling in the world. M&M's are also from Mars, but they came from 1917, I think, in America. We used to call them peanut treats or chocolate treats. So Mars, interestingly, didn't have all the expertise and all the knowledge of how to make this chocolate bar. He knew his bit of it, but not all of it.
Right.
So he couldn't quite get the chocolate right, and he knew that American chocolate, when he brought it over and he tested it, it did not do well in Europe and it did not do well in England because we were used to like milk and cane sugar rather than fructose and like skimmed milk or whatever.
Yeah.
So he went to Cadbury's
Okay.
from Birmingham and said, "Will you help me make this bar? Give me the recipe." And I don't think they gave him the recipe, but they agreed to work with him.
Right, okay.
And then it became the number 1 selling bar, and Cadbury's went, "What are we doing? Why are we making this for our rival for not much benefit?" And he essentially copied.
Did they not try and buy him out?
Well, they could have done, but by then he just went. So he started with £5,000 and 4 people, and it just went. It was so popular that it spread like wildfire to the point that it was the British government allowed Mars to continue production during the Second World War because they agreed to send Mars bars out to the British troops on the front line and also abroad to prisoners of war. It was marketed as a health food originally, as we were saying, because of energy, because it's full of glucose.
Yeah.
So that's full of energy.
Yeah.
And because of the milk in the chocolate, that was deemed protein and healthy. So like cigarettes were like around about this time a cure for cancer and asthma and bronchitis.
When they first discovered what was it? Which one of the was it not plutonium, but one of the sort of nuclear people because it glowed in the dark, they thought it had health-giving properties, so
eyesight.
they'd like brushing the teeth with it and stuff like that. And they had glow-in-the-dark teeth, and then all end up getting brain cancer, like as a result.
So Mars bars are not radioactive.
Like uranium or something.
Yeah. So where are we up to? So we're up to the war, and then I think it's, I can't remember the year, but it's in the 70s. It might be 1972. This is off the Mars. I've got their own website for Mars bars, because that was originally the best. So all the spin-offs are things like Marathon, which became Snickers, just to align with the rest of Europe, calling it Snickers, and America, to save on packaging and marketing, because you can use the same thing over and over. They also do Maltesers.
Do you know why we called it Marathon to begin with? Is there a reason for that?
No, I'm guessing though it was probably to do with the health benefits. Like, you know, marathon, it takes a long time to eat and it gives you enough power to run through. To the point where in 1997, the first to do this, so we get the fun-size Mars bar, I think that's about 1972. For me, that's bad. That's a bad thing, because it's stuff getting smaller.
That's not fun.
That's not fun. It's less, objectively
less
less
of this
fun.
thing that you like is not fun.
No, exactly. But these are fun. So I've got to take these back, because my son's just got his first job after graduating university. He got some celebration.
Congratulations, son! I've saved you 3. What are the bad ones in?
So the celebrations are the Snickers, Twix, Mars, which is the American Milky Way. Milky Way's in it, which is kind of. So do you know what the slogan for Mars is? A Mars a day.
How do you work, rest, and play?
Yep. Milky Way is the sweet you can eat between meals without ruining your appetite.
It's like they started off rhyming and thought, sorry.
Exactly that. Snickers, I don't know what Snickers is.
Taste of Paradise.
Taste of Paradise for Bounty. So they do some of these celebrations. Apparently Bounty's the least popular.
I like Bounty.
Bounty's the best one. They've got Galaxy things and Galaxy chocolates.
I always said that I preferred Bounties to Maltesers. Maltesers are the country's favourite chocolate.
They're very cheap though, that's why.
And I think it should be the opposite way around. And people on the internet try to cancel me for that. All the things, you know?
Well, I preferred the red Bounty. I loved the dark chocolate Bounty. It was stunning. And that just makes me like I despair of this country at times.
That's not what the purpose of this is.
That's exactly what it is. If we do nothing, if we could bring the red Bounty back, that would be great.
Can you not get it anymore?
They still do it in America, but it's the American chocolate.
In sort of like really thin wrappers, and like you say, with the
used to have cardboard
at the bottom, so that it's staying on.
John Shuttleworth did a full song about that. So they even do celebrations sometimes at Christmas. Celebrations no Bounty.
Really?
Yeah, that's just mean-spirited.
I mean, that's borderline racist,
so
isn't it?
What if you were to choose one out of Snickers, Twix, Mars, Teasers, the one-off Malteser, Galaxy Caramel, Bounty or Milky Way, what would you go for? And I'll be able to tell your personality.
I'm gonna go for a Bounty.
Yeah, okay. Well, good luck, because they don't put many in, because they're not popular. Do you have tips of mine?
No, I got one.
You got one.
There we go.
Right. Well, in the true spirit of what a celebration should be, 2 things. If it's a tub, tub, you should just take it and get what you're given.
Yeah.
And
I'd eat all of them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And don't put your wrapper back in the tub.
Yeah.
So celebrations, couple of final other things. I'm not about to get.
You've got to have a system, haven't you?
You've got to have a system. You've got to see Galaxy. Absolutely not. I'm going to have a Milky Way.
See, I've always thought of Milky Way as being properly like kids. Chocolate.
Yeah, I like them. I like Milky Bars as well.
It's in the same category as Milky Bars. Yeah.
It's what you give a kid like early doors in it, because you know it's going to finish it. Kids won't eat a Mars bar because it's too much. Yeah. I can remember Mars bars being the top one when I was a kid
as well, don't you?
That's nice. So, celebrations used to be. If you think celebrations have gotten smaller over the years, you're right.
I was thinking that.
Used to be a 950 gram tub when they came out in 1997. Swiftly copied by Cadbury's, who brought out the Heroes 2 years later.
Right, okay.
Cadbury's Heroes is also a great little mix of these little mini chocolates.
Crunchies and whatever.
Yeah, they're a bit of fun. They're a good fun Christmas item. Used to be a 950 gram tin, went down to 675, I think, and he's currently around about the 550 mark.
Right, okay.
So we saw some great deals at Christmas where you might, I think the Morrison's or something, you could get like, so it was 2 for £8, and then it was like, oh my God, they used to like £5 each when they first came out. And you're like, yeah, but those two only equate to like what one was.
Yeah.
And that was, normally it would be like a tenner for two. So, but anyway.
Shrinkflation, that, isn't it?
Shrinkflation is what it's called. So that's the history of the Mars bar. So it's started by an American dude, but in Slough. And I think we could allow it. I would argue you could allow it because it's a different recipe to the American one, even though it was half stolen from what was the American Milky Way.
No, I absolutely, I think that's right. He sort of builds on everything so far has been sort of borrowed from someone else, then you put your own twist on it. Yeah. And it's like the original sort of like Mars bar, as the Milky Way, we brought it over here, and we went, actually, no, we don't like that. So it's actually not the same.
It isn't the same.
Sort of, he develops a different, nougat wasn't invented by the people of Mars, was
it?
it?
Wasn't. Was it? Or caramel.
Or caramel, or chocolate. They just put them all together, yeah. So I think Mars bar can go in there.
But I also think if there was a version of this being done in Italy, is a great example because of the Roman Empire, which is similar to us, but to like the nth degree. The fact that you start to travel and go to these places and do horrific things, but you also take things from these places like herbs and spices and ways of cooking, stuff you've never seen, and putting things together that you'd never thought would go together.
If there's someone doing
welcome to
it's all right. I can't work out a bit.
It's all right.
But like they've got pasta in there. Marco Polo brought that back from China.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Egg noodles are from China.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff goes back to China and Persia, and ultimately it all ends up in Africa from Africa.
Yeah.
So can we have Mars bars in, or the Mars family, or Mars of Slough, however we're going to say it?
I think we could have Mars bars in, definitely. Yeah.
I agree.
I think it's been. I didn't realise that it was. It's more British than I thought it was.
Right.
I always thought it was just an American thing.
Right.
Whereas you've explained that
how it is a separate entity.
Yeah. So I think that can go in there. Definitely.
And there must be a Forest Mars Junior. I couldn't find any details on him. But
maybe there's loads of them. Forest Mars the Third.
Oh my God, yeah. That's a cool name, Forest Mars.
Forest Mars, it is.
But
it's a very American name.
It would be better if it was Mars Forest. That would sound even snazzier.
Yeah. Somewhere to go for a picnic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which I think are made by Roundtree.
No, the Cadbury's.
Oh, it would have been a good joke, but we can't tell. So, thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, and please put in the comments what you'd like us to do next. Where are you from in Britain, and what is unique to you? If you're from Staffordshire, it might be oatcakes. If you're from Newcastle, you might think peas pudding should go in there.
Yeah.
Whatever you think.
Geordie hummus.
Tennant's Lager if you're from Glasgow, which apparently is made from the water from Loch Katrine.
Is it?
Which is my wife's middle name, because she's from Glasgow.
I've been to Loch Katrine, it's lovely. Yeah. So I went there, it was really, really sunny and warm, and it was like being in the Italian lakes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Scotland is heaven apart from midges.
Yeah.
You're like this, why is everybody not here? And then you go in and your arms just I've been eaten alive. So anyway, thanks for watching, and give us some ideas of what to do next. And if you disagree with us, fill those comments. And if you're racist, put some threats in there. That's what we really, really want. You are proving the point that is not the way that British people behave.
Exactly.
Frankly.
Yeah.
Should we both walk out? I like it when we both leave.
Yeah, bye.